masks, no masks, everything. You can do all you want, but you know, you still need help from the boss.
Donald Trump recently shared a message that has been causing concern among Christians. For a man who regularly uses swear words and couldn't even come up with one passage in the Bible when asked for his favorite, and holding someone else's Bible upside down as a prop for a photo shoot in front of a church. Needless to say, we were intrigued by this. Some people view it as a warning about a dark future, while others see it as merely one of his usual stunts to cause fear and division. There are various opinions on this message, and we'll examine all sides of the issue. We'll also delve into the facts and discuss their implications for everyone. So, without further delay, let's dive in. In American politics, few figures have stirred as much debate as Donald Trump. His every move has been scrutinized and discussed, both as the 45th President of the United States and in his actions after leaving office. One intriguing aspect of Trump's character is his claim to Christianity, despite displaying blatant disregard for Christian values. If you're familiar with the American way of life, you will agree that this is a prominent belief system, essential to millions of Americans. Throughout his political career and presidency, he openly identified as a Christian, specifically aligning with the Presbyterian denomination. To understand Trump's religious beliefs, we need to look back a bit and examine his family background, especially considering he never talks about his faith. Born and raised in Queens, New York, Trump comes from a Presbyterian family. His mother, Mary Ann MacLeod Trump, hails from the Scottish Isle of Lewis, where the Presbyterian faith is prevalent. A predominant aspect of the Presbyterian belief system is the Reformed tradition of Christianity, emphasizing the authority of the Bible and the sovereignty of God. However, we must recognize that public figures often adopt religious identities that align with their political base and values. Sort of a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. In Trump's case, political considerations very likely influenced his identification as, quote, Christian, given the significant role conservative Christian voters play in American politics. One notable claim Trump made about his faith was declaring the Bible as his favorite book during his 2015 presidential campaign. However, when pressed about his favorite Bible verse, Trump hesitated, stating, I wouldn't want to get into it because to me it's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. His response raised eyebrows and questions. Since he claimed the Bible was his favorite book, skeptics argued that providing a verse wouldn't have been such a big deal. Just one verse. Moving beyond Trump's personal beliefs, his political alignment with conservative Christianity raises questions about the sincerity of his faith and whether it was a strategic move to appeal to a specific voter base. Especially since prior to his presidency, Trump never claimed to be religious at all. The strategic alignment has been common among public figures seeking political support in their party. In addition, the connection between Trump's presidency and biblical prophecies surrounding the Antichrist and the end of times adds another layer of intrigue. Some Christians are beginning to discuss how Trump's actions may relate to prophecies mentioned in the Bible, interpreting his actions and words through the lens of their religious beliefs. This approach has raised many questions about the authenticity of Trump's connection with Scripture. Was his comment a genuine link or merely a symbolic association for public support? Publicly expressing faith is common among political figures, but what set Trump apart was his sporadic church attendance during his presidency. Trump's unusual visits to St. John's Episcopal Church, known as the Church of the Presidents, became a topic of discussion. While he attended significant Christian holidays, his regular church presence contrasted with that of previous presidents. Critics questioned the sincerity of his faith, while supporters cited policy decisions as evidence of alignment with Christian values. Now, back to his message. During a surprise Christmas address, Trump addressed Christians somberly, emphasizing the importance of celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. His unexpected admission left a lasting impact. "I'm not that savior." This moment of humility transcended politics and resonated deeply with Christians. Continuing with his bizarre Christmas message, he wished a Merry Christmas to world leaders, both good and bad, but none of which are as evil and sick as the thugs we have inside our country. In a final slam at Biden and Smith, Trump wrote, "May they rot in hell. Again, Merry Christmas." What a shining example of Christian values. On the same day, he emphasized the significance of religious freedom, stressing the need to safeguard the religious rights of all Americans. This resonated with many Christians who consider their faith a cornerstone of their lives. He also addressed the economic challenges triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. This was all on Christmas Eve. The next day, on Christmas Day, his message did get a little bit more positive. Quote, "A big and glorious victory for those brave and valiant patriots who want to make America great again. Merry Christmas to all." When Donald Trump assumed the presidency in January 2017, it began a significant partnership with evangelical Christian leaders, sparking questions and discussions about the extent of evangelical influence on the highest office in the land. However, considering the Republican Party makeup, it's not surprising that Trump had to make nice with Christian leaders. Some believe that faith played a pivotal role in Trump's presidency, frequently manifesting through public displays of prayer. Trump actively invited evangelical leaders to pray for him and his administration, and faith-based events became regular occurrences on the White House calendar. These gestures, perceived by many as sincere expressions of faith, strengthened the bond between the president and the evangelical community. Evangelical advisors wielded considerable influence, shaping the administration's policies and priorities. Their advocacy encompassed issues like the sanctity of life, religious liberty, and the unwavering support for Israel, mirroring the concerns of the evangelical community. Moving beyond evangelical influence, another noteworthy aspect of Trump's presidency involved a speech where he openly criticized a specific religious group. Trump consistently courted headlines and controversies, and one unexpected element was his commentary on Jewish Democrats. At the heart of the issue was Trump's assertion that Jewish Americans supporting Democrats were, in his eyes, disloyal. Observers perceived these comments as a challenge to the political allegiance of Jewish Americans, especially those traditionally aligned with the Democratic Party. Following these remarks, a shocking phenomenon unfolded. Some Israelis actually publicly expressed strong support for the American president, even referring to him as the King of Israel and the Chosen One. These titles typically reserved for figures of profound spiritual and historical significance, not necessarily a married man who was spanked with a magazine by a porn star, added an element of mystery to an already puzzling series of events. To decipher the meaning behind these titles, we must delve into the geopolitical context in which they arose. Few issues in geopolitics carry the weight and significance comparable to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Rooted in centuries-old disputes over history, religion, and territory, this complex matter is surrounded by ongoing debates and challenges in resolving them. Then, when he was president, he emerged as a game changer in the relationship between the United States and Israel. Even though America had always been very close friends with Israel, his solid backing of Israel created ripples across various political ideologies, prompting questions about the underlying motivations behind his steadfast support. As tensions escalated in the Middle East, some even speculated about the connection between Trump's actions and apocalyptic prophecies. Another defining moment in Trump's presidency was the bold move to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Jerusalem's religious significance for Jews, Christians, and Muslims has fueled the Israel-Palestine conflict for generations. This departure from the decades of U.S. foreign policy, which had maintained neutrality on Jerusalem's status, sparked intense debate. The subsequent relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem marked another unprecedented step. While celebrated by Israel as a historic show of support, it deepened tensions with Palestinians who see East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. Understanding the reasoning behind this symbolic move sheds light on the intricate dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Trump's apparent commitment to Israel went beyond symbolic gestures. His administration was crucial in brokering the Abraham Accords, historic agreements normalizing relations between Israel and Arab nations like the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. The motivations behind these diplomatic breakthroughs and their geopolitical implications added complexity to the narrative. Security considerations were paramount in Trump's support for Israel. He significantly increased U.S. military aid, sealing a landmark $38 billion aid package. This package not only fortified Israel's military capabilities, but also included funding for crucial defense systems like the Iron Dome, which played a pivotal role in shielding Israel's citizens from rocket attacks. Although notably, the Iron Dome was functioning well long before Trump took office. As mentioned earlier, these actions earned Trump labels like the King of Israel and the Chosen One from certain groups. Within the context of his unwavering support for Israel, these labels portray him as a devoted ally, prioritizing the nation's interests on the global stage. This close connection with Israel resonated strongly with Trump's evangelical support base, aligning with the principles of Christian Zionism. Christian Zionism, a driving force behind evangelical support for Israel, is rooted in the belief that certain biblical passages foretell the return of Jews to the Holy Land, the establishment of Israel, and its role in end times events. Evangelicals interpret Old and New Testament verses as evidence of God's covenant with the Jewish people, and view supporting Israel as both a political stance and a religious obligation. Trump's decisions, such as recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and relocating the U.S. embassy there, resonate strongly with evangelicals. They perceive these actions, along with his involvement in the Abraham Accords, as affirmations of Israel's significance and potential contributors to Middle East stability. The normalization of relations between Israel and Arab nations, particularly through the Abraham Accords, sparked speculation among evangelicals about its role in end-times scenarios. Some believe that a comprehensive Middle East peace agreement, often referred to as a covenant with many or a 7-year treaty, is a crucial precursor to Jesus Christ's return and the culmination of history. While some segments of the evangelical community view the Accords as a positive step towards peace and biblical fulfillment, others approach them with suspicion. Some interpret Trump's actions in the context of an antichrist figure, a mysterious and feared character in biblical prophecy, traditionally seen as a powerful individual who deceives with false miracles and claims divine authority. The Antichrist is envisioned as a charismatic, sinister leader playing a significant role in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Sound familiar? Some critics suggest that some of his actions align with a vision of the Antichrist figure. This interpretation delves into the complex realm of biblical prophecy, where discussions about the Antichrist have intrigued theologians, scholars, and believers for centuries. The notion centers on the idea that a charismatic and influential individual could emerge on the world stage, deceiving many and leading humanity astray. Amid discussions about U.S. foreign policy, Christian Zionism, and the Middle East, the specter of the Antichrist emerges as a compelling and enigmatic theme. The speculation surrounding Donald Trump potentially being the Antichrist primarily stems from his captivating and controversial leadership style, not to mention his claim of being a Christian while living in the exact opposite way. Trump's unique ability to rally a significant portion of the American population while simultaneously facing vehement opposition has drawn parallels with the Antichrist's reputed power to deceive and manipulate. In biblical prophecy, the Antichrist is often portrayed as possessing exceptional intelligence and cunning. Although the intelligent part is hard to stomach, the cunning part does make sense. This intellectual prowess enables the Antichrist to navigate complex geopolitical landscapes and orchestrate events to advance his agenda. Donald Trump, recognized as a successful businessman and political figure, has been commended for his strategic thinking and negotiation skills, contributing to the comparisons made, despite all of his bankruptcies and failures. Trump's unconventional political approach and his knack for dominating media attention have fueled speculations about his cunning, mirroring traits associated with the Antichrist. Another trait linked to the Antichrist is an unwavering determination and resolve to pursue goals relentlessly, even in the face of adversity. The Antichrist is depicted as a figure capable of implementing a vision and consolidating power on a global scale through steadfast commitment. Donald Trump's resolute dedication to his policy objectives and readiness to challenge established norms and institutions align with the concept of determination. Throughout his presidency, he pursued initiatives such as immigration reform and tax policy changes that resonated with his base despite facing fierce opposition. This unyielding approach has fueled discussions about Trump embodying characteristics reminiscent of the prophesied Antichrist. It's essential to delve into the specifics of Trump's tenure to understand why speculation surrounding his potential alignment with Antichrist traits emerged. His policies, such as the controversial travel ban and renegotiation of trade deals, contributed to the perception of a leader determined to reshape the status quo. Additionally, Trump's withdrawal from international agreements like the Paris Agreement on climate change has further fueled speculation. Critics argue that these actions aligned with an individual exerting control over global affairs, a characteristic attribution to the Antichrist in some interpretations of biblical prophecy. In certain religious discussions, folks have also drawn parallels between political figures and biblical prophecies, with the determination and firmness of certain leaders being linked point to the Antichrist in prophetic texts. One intriguing notion that has cropped up in these discussions is the concept of the rapture, a belief among some Christians that true believers will be spirited away to heaven before a period of tribulation and the ultimate battle between good and evil. The Abraham Accords, a series of peace agreements between Israel and Arab nations, were seen by certain circles as potential game changers that could set the stage for prophetic events. The normalization of relations between Israel and Arab nations was interpreted as aligning with end times narratives, particularly those involving a gathering of nations against Israel. Moving beyond the Antichrist discussions, there was another prevalent notion in evangelical circles, comparing Trump to the ancient Persian king Cyrus. According to biblical accounts of the book Ezra, Cyrus played a crucial role in allowing the Jewish people to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. Despite not sharing their faith, Cyrus was seen as chosen by God for this divine mission. Cyrus's historical and religious significance stemmed from his act of liberating the Jews and facilitating their return to their homeland. This comparison has further fueled speculations about Trump's potential role in the end-time scenarios, adding an extra layer of intrigue to his presidency. Now, let's delve into a little deeper into the story of King Cyrus to understand the implications of drawing parallels between him and modern political figures. King Cyrus is celebrated in the Old Testament for his decree that allowed the Jewish people to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. This decree marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Jewish people, and Cyrus was viewed as an instrument of divine will, chosen by God despite not belonging to the Jewish faith. The act of liberating a religious community and enabling them to reclaim their homeland elevated Cyrus to a figure of immense historical and religious significance. Now, let's draw parallels between King Cyrus and modern-day politics, specifically comparing Cyrus and Donald Trump. While both figures held positions of political power, the circumstances and motivations behind their actions differ significantly. Cyrus's decree was rooted in a religious context driven by divine intervention, while political decisions and negotiations characterized Trump's leadership. The comparison between Cyrus and Trump within certain evangelical circles adds layers to the conversation about leadership, religious narratives, and political events. However, it's crucial to distinguish between historical and biblical context to avoid oversimplifying in complex political dynamics. Making these connections can shape how individuals perceive leaders and events, influencing their interpretations of current affairs through a lens tinted with religious undertones. Some Christians see parallels between Trump and the biblical figure of Cyrus, which has sparked much discussion and debate. For some believers, this has a religious significance that extends beyond the political realm. It's a fascinating example of how religion and politics intersect, especially regarding these beliefs. While engaging with Trump and the Antichrist, it's crucial to consider the multifaceted nature of intelligence, cunningness, and determination. People's perceptions may differ based on political beliefs and interpretations of biblical prophecy, highlighting the complexity of the speculation surrounding Trump's role in these discussions.